Hello and welcome to the 28th installment of Aaron Walker Art Talk. I'm, of course, Aaron Walker, and for the second time, I am joined by Avery Moodie. Avery, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. So today you've chosen Happy Valentine's Day, my painting. Do you want to go ahead and explain why you chose that?
Sure. The main reason I chose this one, as I was scrolling through, looking at the thumbnails of your pictures, it stood out because you're just looking at like really tiny thumbnails. It stood out because it was like stark white, stark red, and then black. So I noticed it, could tell what it was right away just from the small thumbnail. And then I saw the title and I was like, there was like an incongruency, or maybe not incongruency, but I was like just interested in the title. I was just like, what does that have to do with, there's obviously a story in connection between these two. So I was interested in it.
Right. Well, so actually, an episode or two ago, I was talking about irony and titles. So I have another picture called Man at Work. That's the title of it. And it's a picture of like some young man just like leaning back and smoking a cigarette. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that titles can add a layer of meaning to a piece. Right. So it's Happy Valentine's Day, but it's clearly like a sad clown smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. Because you've already got those, like that, the irony in itself in the picture of a sad clown and a cigarette.
Right.
And this is like a whole nother level of irony.
Right. So there's like this obvious irony, right, of the title. And then again, of like the sad clown. I actually made this on Valentine's Day. This is not a sad story. Okay. But like, I just thought it would be like a funny thing to like create and then like post about on Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. And I suppose to some extent it goes into what, I don't want to say like what Valentine's Day is about necessarily. Well, okay, I'll switch it up entirely. So there's like a history of like sad clowns, right? Like in art, like the clown that is like crying and even smoking a cigarette, or like in a bar with like like putting back beers. Yeah. I think it's very interesting. Like, what do you think is behind that?
With the sad clown like motif.
Yeah.
I think like I said, it's that inherent irony of it goes against kind of human nature to have a persona of happy all the time. But that's like exactly what a clown's career is. There's like something about being a person that like, there's a full spectrum of emotions. And when you're just focusing on the one end, when your whole career is around making people laugh and being happy, whether it be like comedians or just entertainers or actors and stuff in general, but especially clowns who literally have a drawn on smile. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the emotional connection of, I feel like I have a drawn on smile or stuff like that, just on and on. There's a lot of artistic value to just dive in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think this goes to, there's like a famous story, and I'm going to change it because I can't remember the operatic singer's name, but a guy goes to the doctor, right? And he's like, doctor, I'm not happy. I'm just so depressed all the time and my life is worthless and I just don't know what to do. I'm at the end of my rope. And the doctor says, look, I know exactly what you need to do. This famous comedian is in town and his name is Moochie. And if you go to Moochie, like you can't help but to be happy. He turns to me and says, but doctor, I am Moochie.
Right? Yeah.
And to some extent, you were talking about this in the context of like performers or like clowns, comedians, people who are public figures. But I think to some extent, this applies to everyone because everyone is putting on a mask. Mm-hmm. Everyone
is immediately relatable.
Right. Everyone is wearing clown makeup in some sense and trying to like just put on a face for other people. I'm trying really hard not to veer off into Jungian psychology.
Yeah. I do. I sense the themes.
But yeah, the persona. So I'm not sure. I feel like there's something more to it that I can't quite put my finger on. I suppose just if I can't get there immediately, I'll talk about some of the technical aspects of the piece.
Sure.
So typically I don't, I try to put a background if I can, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a subject and then there's a background, they're in an actual place. But in this piece and some of my other pieces, I'll have it just blacked out, which I think creates like a really gloomy or more serious atmosphere, right? So if you can imagine the same piece, but he was in like a Coliseum or something, or like on stage, it wouldn't necessarily have the same meaning as him just being surrounded by darkness, right?
Because it almost gives you an idea of like, this could be someone's head. Like this could be someone's mental image of themselves.
They're in isolation.
Yeah.
So I think that sort of technical aspect goes along with the sort of irony that we were referring to earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being an isolated, sad clown on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I get it. And like we were saying, because it's I'm not gonna say universal theme, but it's definitely a known theme. It's almost an idea that you can play off of and build on, like that story that you mentioned. Like I first heard that story in Watchmen, or when I was reading Watchmen, and right. Rorschach tells that story, and it's like used to build off of. And Alan Moore, when he was writing Watchmen, used that story to like sum up the character of the comedian, and like the story launches off with a dead comedian with a dead super violent veteran who masks his trauma by just pretending being in denial and was laughing about it. Mm-hmm. So it's like this theme that's like almost universally can be applied to several different things and built off of, because it's such a relatable theme. So when I saw, I got the idea, the sad clown. I'm like, okay, I get it. And I was trying to like figure out, what does that have to do with Valentine's Day? Why is he thinking about I think about sad clowns sometimes, sure, but why on the Valentine's Day?
I mean, it just seems to me to be like the most appropriate time, right? Like it would be kind of, I suppose that the time that you put this figure in like reflects like the greater meaning of it, right? So if I called this President's Day, it would be like a reflection of politics, right?
Yeah.
If I put it on like Columbus Day, it would be a reflection on like colonialism. But because I put it on Valentine's Day, it's a reflection, I think, on like the clown itself. There's a story now of this man who is like made to feel this way because of his isolated condition.
Sure. There was like Valentine's Day just passed a bit ago. I was explaining, I was talking to somebody about like, how was a greeting card company, and like, how was a greeting card holiday? And it's like, no, this was like, there's a dead space between Christmas and Mother's Day, and the greeting cards didn't know what to do. So they were like, let's build up a romance holiday.
Right. Actually, I wish that I still had the original. I sold it like forever ago at an art market. And the lady actually, I started to explain some of it, and she's like, don't tell me. It's awesome. Just don't. You'll ruin it if you try to explain it. But I wish I still had the original, because I actually think it would make like a nice Valentine's Day card for single people. Mm-hmm. You give it to your single friend.
Yeah, it'd be the next popular single person meme. But it's like the ideas of societal pressure, like artificial societal pressure on one particular day that makes people do obligatory Facebook posts or obligatory social media romance posts, when they might be feeling just like that clown.
Right. Well, Avery, do you have any other questions about the piece?
No.
Well, all right. Thank you for your time and for coming on, and see you next time. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.